Annette asks, is it just bringing in mobilized energy? Yeah, basically. I mean, that's the basic idea, but it's not like we're bringing it in from the outside. It's not like the energy's in the air and we're sucking it into our system. No, we're more like, producing it from inside. That sympathetic system is coming to life and producing, I don't know, whatever chemicals it produces. And as we do the work of building our safety pathways and feeling into this shutdown stuff, it's kind of allowing our autonomic nervous system the space, calming our mind enough, attuning our mind to our biology. It allows the space for this ladder climbing to happen. But as we mindfully attune to our biology, to what it really feels like to be in a shutdown state, without judgment and with curiosity and with enough safety active, then it allows for that energy to return. It allows for the autonomic nervous system to do its self-regulation that it does really well if we would get out of its way or out of our own way. And then as we do so little by little, it can actually help to build a tolerance as it returns, and then the ladder climbing can continue. Having all that come back at once can be unrealistic for the most part, at least as I find in therapy, as with my clients. So doing all that at once is it's too much. So we want to feel into it little by little and feel that energy come back in our system little by little, and that can help to continue to lay that foundation that we build on. The last question Annette has here is, why does it feel so hard to do that, to bring in the mobilized energy? It feels hard. Yes, it does. It definitely feels hard. Because there's these sensations that happen within us that we're not used to, like we said before. It feels very different and vulnerable, and we're not used to feeling these sensations. We're not used to feeling our heartbeat pick up and our chest have more pressure on it. We might not be used to our breathing becoming faster paced and shallow. We may not be used to feeling this power, not just this sympathetic system, but it's power, this life force, as some call it, coming back into our bodies. So it's difficult. We're not used to it. We're going from this state of conservation, which is what the shutdown state is. It's about conserving resources. We're going from that up the polyvagal ladder into the sympathetic state, which is all about burning through resources, right? Everything, the motor turns on in the sympathetic state. So we're burning through resources, ideally in a very short burst to get to safety. That's what that's about. So we're going from conservation, from emptiness to slow, to having more energy in our system. It's a big shock. It's different. To our conscious minds, it's different, at least. We're not used to that mobilized state. These sensations we're not used to them. It can feel overwhelming. And anger in particular, as we climb the polyvagal ladder, ideally it feels like power, and we feel that force come back, that life force come back into our system. If we haven't built our pathways strong enough, we're not well enough anchored in our safety state, then it won't feel like power. It'll feel like anger. And when we feel anger, a lot of times we think that we're failing. As a therapist, I used to interpret things that way. Now that I look back, it was actually a good thing. When I had clients that back then it's called depression. Now I call it shutdown. But as they got more energy in their system, now I know what's happening. As they got more energy in their system, they became angry, not just in session, but like in life in general. They became angry or irritable, and we would interpret that as, okay, that's a bad thing. We didn't say that, but basically it was like, oh, that's not good. But now that I understand polyvagal ladder and I see that process happening, it's not a bad thing. It's the next step. It could be the next step, and it's something to keep an eye on. It's something to tamp down as far as the intensity we want to do that, but we do that through building the safety pathways. So anger is not failure. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a really healthy thing, as long as you have it under some level of control. We want that to be power. We don't want to be angry. We want to feel like just mobilize energy in our system to be productive, to have to play, to meet our goals. We want the energy in our system for that, not for cussing out our loved ones. It's hard because it's a life we have not experienced. The life in shutdown is significantly different than life in a sympathetic state. And it's a hell of a lot different than life with access to our safety state. Each of these states has a different lived experience. Each of these states it's a different filter for the world. We experience the world drastically different through the lens of, or through the filter of these three different primary states. So it's literally a life we haven't experienced. So why is it so hard to climb the ladder? Because it's like we're taking on a new mentality. We're taking on new feelings, emotions. We're taking on new sensations. We're all of a sudden, especially as we get up into our safety state, we're more likely to connect with people or have the capacity to connect with people. We're smiling. We're using our eye crinkles. It's a different life. Things are different. So it's difficult in that sense because we're not used to it. And sustaining that can feel overwhelming. So little by little helps out with that.